Hey, welcome to Grandpa Sees the Blinking. Please don't take anything Grandpa says as financial advice. Grandpa's not a financial planner, and if you would, please like, share, and subscribe. Okay, we got just monstrous news here, and I'm gonna do my best to explain what happened on Friday with the blinking. Grandpa's been waiting well over a year to see blinking like I did on Friday. And I will go through with you what happened the last time this happened, like it or not, and uh, I will tell you what I see happening this time. Um, and But first of all, you need to understand a little bit about a market maker. What is a market maker? Um, so that when I tell you about the blinking, you can understand that. Um, Grandpa watches what's called the blinking, and if you watch my previous live stream, I'm showing you the exact blinking that took place on Friday afternoon. Okay, and in detail, and I'm talking about it live as it's happening. Okay, um, and I'm going to go through that same thing with you again now, except for it's after hours and you can't see the blinking. This chart that I have up is a 5 minute chart, and there's a reason why I have this chart up. Um, the blinking tells the story, and it's huge for you to know. Everybody in the world, including Grandpa, is extremely bullish right now. We're all anticipating 400 and more in our near future. Matter of fact, Grandpa's got a forecast for December 5th of 400 bucks, and it's possible. But it's also possible that you might see 300 in between now and then back to 400 with this stock. This stock can move just bananas. So, market makers, what are they and what do they do? Well, what they are, what they do is they provide the liquidity needed for the markets to run smoothly, to function smoothly. So if you have huge up pressure, for instance, in a stock, they will go up above the actual price point, and they do this all through the day. Most of their containment is done in approximately $2.50 either side of the actual price point. So $2.50, $3 either side of the price point. They're constantly blinking. Okay, what Grandpa calls the blinking. And for instance, I'll move my mouse over here to this 5. If that 5 blinks, that's 500 shares that, not dollars, shares, 500 shares of Tesla that just shorted or was filled down. Okay, here is your buying on this side, and here they have a 3, and so when that number blinks, okay, when that number blinks, it's 300 shares, not dollars, shares. Down here at 352.40, the actual price is 353.50. But down here at 352.40, when that number blinks, and it'll blink all day long, and it'll move up and down and this distance from the price approximately. And each time it blinks, it's 100 shares, not one share, it's 100. Okay, it's 100 shares that are being bought. Up here at 353.85 above the price point, they're shorting 100 shares, and between the balance, that for the most part keeps things in check. But periodically and every day, they'll start going out. $11 is very common on either side of the price point, and they're blinking their 100 shares per blink, and that's what Grandpa calls the blinking. Okay, and it provides stability for the market, because if there's huge down pressure or huge up pressure and it gets through these numbers, it has to be caught by something up above. Okay, and you would think that if they're shorting huge numbers up above or down below, that would mean that it's going to go that direction. Okay, but that is not what happens. For instance, if they're we have 353.50 for a price point, and so say they're down below this price point. $11 is a small one. These guys go out as far as $100 away from the price point sometimes. But if they started buying huge numbers or multiple numbers, that sometimes they'll do it where you keep in mind you're playing against a supercomputer here, people. They don't make it easy. They don't make it easy to see the blinking, and they do it in different ways. But every once in a while, like I say, it's been over a year since I've seen what I seen yesterday, and I've cataloged it in my notebooks and watched the blinking till I'm half nuts, waiting to see it again. And I got to see it again yesterday. And that's what you want to hear about. You want to hear what the result may be, and what just how fantastic the blinking was is just phenomenal what they do. But anyway, getting back to the market makers. Okay, so the market makers, they're not bad. They're needed. They're needed to make the market run, but they give you a tell. That's why Grandpa watches the blinking religiously, because sometimes they give you a good tell. Very often I can tell by the blinking. Candles are a lagging indicator. Even in a 1-minute chart, they're a lagging indicator, and Grandpa can very often tell you in advance what color that candle's going to be, red or green, up or down, before the candle even starts forming, because the blinking is instant. The blinking is instant. And so here, for instance, if you have, say, $11 down from this 253.50, they're down there in the 242 area, and they're blinking some big numbers. Okay, not 5, but say they're blinking 10 or more. Okay, 10 would be 1,000 a blink, probably 40 times a minute. Okay, that's fairly big. It doesn't push the stock up. It pulls it right towards it. It goes the opposite direction. Okay, every single time. and it'll pull it towards it, and if they stop or pause the blinking for even a minute, stop the buying on the bottom side, you'd think the stock would come down. It don't come down, it goes up. It goes up. I watch it day after day after day. That's why I know what it does. But what we're seeing now is we're seeing blinking on Friday. I'll actually get it on the numbers for you and my price chart here. I gotta get it up that high where it's doing it, where it was doing it on Friday. And like I say, watch my previous live stream. You can see it doing it live. It's just phenomenal. Okay, I'm just about to it. Matter of fact, they still got money up here waiting. Okay, here's 360. We're real close. 359.90 was where they did the big nasty. And what did they have it on? They were doing 110 per blink, and they were blinking approximately 10 times per minute. I used my little clock and added up how many times on average they were doing it. 10 times per minute, 110, right at 359.90. 10 cents before 360. All right? And you need to know this. And as I go along and tell you the importance of it here, you'll understand a little better. Now, at the same time, they were down at 358.95 doing 70, okay, and that one blinked less, but periodically it would blink the 10 times a minute type of deal. And I watched that one through the day. And then in addition to that, they had a 1, just like this one right here, and it was running up and down between these two numbers on different numbers, and they were trying to catch everything they could and stabilize everything as they were putting in their shorts. The market should have went up. I watched many live streams yesterday. We should have hit 365. The up pressure was just humongous. But the market makers were stopping it. They were stopping it. The Pepsi can was overflowing. The Coke bottle was coming out the top. And the market makers were stopping it with 359.90, 358.95, and stuff in between. And in addition to that, what they couldn't catch to here, they were up at 375 with just the 1, but it was blinking 40 times a minute. 100. You know, you're looking at 4,000 or 5,000 shares, not dollars, shares per minute at 375 to keep this thing from skyrocketing. To keep us from skyrocketing. Because they have, you're playing against a supercomputer, and it's got a plan for you. It cares about you. It's got a plan for you. It cares about you. It really does. Okay. Now, I'll I'll explain the importance of this high a little bit in a little bit, but you also have this crazy wick going down to 340 after hours, and I'm going to talk about that coming up too. You also are in a golden cross. They're giving you all the indications that the sky's the limit here for Monday. And I'll tell you what, on Monday, I'm going to come on at 9 a.m. Eastern and do the blinking, watch the blinking, pre-market, and going into the day. I might stay on this thing pretty much all day on Monday because, well, I'll get to that later, but in the past, the next day, they did it for an hour. They started doing the same exact thing they did the day before. So I'm expecting them to come back to this 359 on Monday for a bit. But when they stop blinking, this number, while they were blinking this 359, the price was 354, okay? And that's important too. It's about $4 down below, $4 or $5 down below is where they were trading. And we flatlined all the way across. We're running 100% sideways, okay? And it's going to snap like a rubber band. And everybody thinks the snap is going to be up. Everybody, except for the blinking, okay? Except for the blinking. And that's what the warning is about. Okay, so they're blinking. The main one is the 359.90. Okay, right where Grandpa's got his mouse. That's where they were doing the 110. And when did they start doing this 110? Well, I could tell you where they started. They started doing it at 10:30 a.m. and they continued until 4 p.m. 5.5 hours they did this. 5.5 hours it blinked 10 times a minute. Let's see. Let's see. 11,000 shares per blink. It's 110,000 shares per minute for 5.5 hours at 359.90. Add that up in dollars. We're not talking dollars, we're talking shares. That's massive, okay? And what happened here? We got a wick down to 340. Now I'm telling you right now, if you had a buy-in down there, you probably weren't going to get that. But when the blinking stopped abruptly here at 4, we got red candles immediately. When they stopped it right there, I watched them stop it. When they stopped it, the price plummeted, okay? Just temporarily. And they got control of it again, okay? And when you see a deal like this, where you have your red candles for a little bit, all that happened was they paused just for a little bit. They paused the 359.90 where they were shorting up above. Okay, they're shorting up here. And when they paused it, the price fell. And so then they have to get crazy and blink faster. Okay, when I tell you approximately 10 times a minute, that's just an approximate. You know, I would add it up periodically try to get a good deal on it, but it's approximately 10, if not more. Okay, there were times they were doing 20 times a minute. There were times they were doing 30 times a minute. There were times when she would go red for a little bit that they were down to doing 5, 6 times per minute. Okay, so and it's so misleading because when they're shorting up above, the price goes up. When they stop shorting, the price goes down. And they're going to stop shorting. I believe they're going to short up here on Monday again at 359. Except they might not start shorting again. And if they don't, the price is going to plummet. The last time this happened, it dropped $50. It dropped from $208 to $157 and change. Right, almost exactly $50 to the penny is what it did. I watched it do it, and but it was the first time I'd seen what they were doing with the blinking like that big, you know. And okay, Jeff is on here. Good morning, Professor. Well, good morning there, Mr. Mom. I'm talking blinking here today, and trying to explain this. I want to get through this, and then I'm going to do another live stream this afternoon, talk a little bit. We have a new bottom pivot point. We have a new bottom pivot point of 302.70. I'm going to talk about that. I don't want to stick this all in one live stream. And then I also want to talk about giving Tesla shares away as Christmas presents. Grandma's going to give Grandpa a Tesla share for Christmas. And guess what Grandpa's going to give Grandma? Oh, I'm going to give Grandma a Tesla share for Christmas. We're exchanging gifts. And I think everybody should do that. But anyway, I'm going to get back at this blinking. I got off track here. Sorry about that. Okay, so how massive was what they did? So we know that they were doing this shorting, this massive shorting, for 5.5 hours, from 10:30 to 4 p.m. And they're shorting. They're 100% shorting. Keep in mind, the only time the price went up through any of that number was here. The top of this wick is the 356. They're up at 359.90. Okay, it's real close to Grandpa's line right here. Right there. That's real close. As a matter of fact, it's a little above that. I wonder why Grandpa's got that line on there. Oh, that's a place of resistance to the upside. So, yeah, listen again. That's a good idea, Mr. Mum. And I'm going to have you come on with me in my next live stream, by the way. But we'll talk about that later. Okay, so this wick shot up so fast, okay, and it went through some of our 390s, 359.90s, okay. It was like the blink of an eye. I had a sell up here at 360, right about where I got my mouse. You know, Grandpa likes to buy and sell wicks because there's good money in it, okay? And so Grandpa had to sell up here to get out, and it went up through me by over $1. And I had mine at 360.25, I believe. Right about just a shade above this wick or this line here. Right about there. Actually, it was higher than that. I'm trying to get this right about where I got my mouse now. That's where I had my sell-in. It went well above that and never even filled me. Okay, and I'm trying to get out of a lawn, one of my lawns. Okay, and wasn't for 1,000,000 shares, it was just for 10. But they didn't bother to fill. Grandpa, I would have liked to got that fill. By the time I got out, the price was in the 350 4.5 range, and I think I got right about the 354.5 range. I think I finally bailed out of my last one, and took my profit for the day, because I was long and I'm seeing them blinking, but I'm anticipating them pulling it up towards it. But they ran a tight line. Closest we could get to it was 356.70 area. Okay, that's as close as we could get to that 359.90. And they did the same thing in the past. They stopped it short of the where they were blinking before in the past was at 212. They were blinking shorting at 212 massively, just like this. And they only did it for 4 hours. This one is for 5.5 hours, okay? But they were blinking an even bigger number, okay? It was just massive. So, okay, I'm going to read through this so you get a handle on how much per hour this amounts to. Okay, so it's the market makers that are doing this. It's done every day of the week. It's nothing new. What's new is the amount that they're doing. Okay, so yesterday, Friday, 110 was blinking, and that equals 11,000 shares per blink, and they were doing it 10 times a minute. And that equals 6,600,000 shares per hour. Get this in your brain. Okay, 6,600,000 shares an hour. And they did it for 5.5 hours. They started doing it at 10:30 Eastern Time over here, right in this area. And they continued until 4 p.m. And the second that they quit, we got red candles, and it went parabolic on them all the way to 340. Okay? And 340.97 is exactly where it went to this wick. From 354 area. Okay? We were up at just shot right about close to 354. That don't mean those shares aren't still up there. They got 3 days to activate those shares to use them again. And when we go, and they can get waivers I believe, to do it later. In the past, what happened? They they did the blinking at 212. Okay, now they're doing the blinking at 3:59:90, and in the past they came on the next day and they did more of the 212s for an hour or two, and the price managed to get up to exactly $308, $4 away. They kept it $4 from where they were blinking. If they keep it $4 from where they're blinking now, and they when they finally did their thing, it went from 208 back then, and everybody was bullish as all get out back then. I'll tell you what, we were all expecting the moon, no doubt. Everybody was on board, and I'm even more on board now than I was then. But anyway, they went within 2 days or 2.5 days. We dropped $50 down to 157 and change. That's what they do. That's what they do, and because they act, and then they within a week or a week and a half, whatever it was, I don't remember the exact timeline. They went right back up, and they went right through that 212. They hit that 212, and I was watching it. What's going to go on? Well, they went right on up to 217 and diddled around there for a while, and went back to doing normal stuff, and inched their way back up, back and forth, back and forth. It runs like waves. Okay, so now, so 6,600,000 shares per hour, and they haven't been activated. They're still there. They're there. What do you think is going to happen when they decide to activate them on the way down? They're going to make a lot of money, I can tell you that. 6,600,000 shares an hour times 5.5 hours. Grandpa ain't real good with math. You figure it out. In addition to that number, at the same time, and they only did this one for a few hours. They did it while we were making the run up, and every time it would start getting wild going up, they were at 358.95. Where's that number? Right there. They were right there, and they were right there at the same time, blinking. Okay, except for the 358.95 where I have my mouse now, they were doing 7,000 shares a blink. Okay, 10 times a minute at least, sometimes 20. But they only did that only when it would get strong, where you see the green candles on my chart. That's when they would do that. They'd put both of them in force, and when they stop shorting at the 358.95, you'd start getting red candles. You start getting a pullback in the WICK. They run this thing like a clock. You're playing against the supercomputer people. But we're trying to get a direction of the market, and I'll tell you what, I want to buy long because I believe 400 is coming. I believe 500 is coming. But I don't want to buy long and watch it go to 311, 305, 3. I don't want to watch it go to 317. Okay. Are they going to do the exact same thing they did last time and go exactly $50? It's possible. Could they go more than 50? Yes, they can. These guys are phenomenal. You're dealing with people that in 1 hour are shorting 6,600,000 shares in advance. And people don't realize it. They don't. Oh man, Jeff. He said he made 3 cents per share after hours. Quit goofing around. Okay. So I'm gonna come back on Monday, 9 o'clock. I plan on sticking with you, and I'm gonna watch this blinking like a hawk. If they do what I think they're gonna do, I'm hoping to shorten the 354, 355 area, because I don't believe they're gonna go right to where they did their blinking. Is it possible? Yeah. Yeah, they could. They might do it different. They might go up there and activate them right off the bat, and take the plunge down. We'll see that on Monday. But I'm anticipating them not going up that high. If I see 357 tomorrow or in that area, I'm very likely going to short it and just sit on it for a bit, anticipating a huge drop. So you got 355, say, as an average, because it's easier for Grandpa to think about in his brain. And you take away $50, you're at 305. Yeah, I'm thinking 311, 317, 305, 300, wick down to $300. Easy. 300 is going to be support for sure when we get there. People are are bullish on Tesla. But if you lose everything on the way to 300, be prepared to buy. Any time you buy a Tesla share is a golden opportunity. Wherever you buy it, just keep it. Okay. If you have a cash account and you got some shares, don't panic. Don't sell them. Just keep them. Okay, Grandpa is not God. Okay, I'm talking to people that trade in and out and that are crazy. Grandpa's got shares that are long in a cash account. I keep them. I don't buy and sell them anymore. I've learned my lesson. I just keep them. Keep your long shares in your cash account, but if I'm talking to people that are trading a back and forth, okay. If you have margin accounts and you take a $50 hit, they're going to clean these bad boys out. They're all on board going long. They're looking for an opportunity to buy. When it gets to 340, they're all going to load up. Thinking, oh boy, I got $10, and the next thing they know, they're going to see 330, and some of them will have enough money to load up more at 330. Then they're going to see 320. Some of them are going to load up more. They're not gonna give it up. They're still going long. Then they're going to see 310, and then they're going to say, uh-oh, I'm going to get a margin call. I got to sell. And they're going to lose their tail. And all the time that this is occurring, the market makers are going to be buying those shares because $500 is in your future, $1,000 is in your future, and the market makers know all this. And so while you think you're getting an opportunity to buy at 340, 330, 320, 310, 310, Grandpa's probably going to start buying. But I'm going to start buying. I'll get out of my shorts, by the way, down there. And I'll buy all the way to 305 and below. Between 310 and 300, I'm a real buyer. These guys are nasty. Everybody's just dreaming about getting 340. Oh, if I could just buy 340 now. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. Yep, look at these wicks. Look at this sideways. She's going to snap like a rubber band. And I'm bullish on Tesla. Listen to my live streams. I'm so bullish, I'm crazy. Look at the sideways movement in the 4-hour chart. We are moving. We have moved sideways here. We snapped up and we're moving sideways here. It's phenomenal. This just sideways. In the 4-hour chart, it shows the wick. Look at the wick there. I had a sell, like I say, in here, and it did not fill it. Right exactly where I got my mouse is where my sell was. It did not fill it. It was so fast. This one was like the blink of an eye. They stopped right at 4 o'clock between the black and the gray. They stopped the blinking. It immediately went down. Why did it go down? Because they stopped shorting up above. That's why. I don't understand it. I don't understand it myself. All I know is what it does. All I know is what it does. And all I know is what it did in the past when it did this exact same thing. It wasn't exactly the same. They did it. These guys did it for 5.5 hours. They did it for 4 hours with a little bit bigger number. Okay. Hard to believe you could do more than 6,600,000 shares an hour. Well, I'm telling you, they were doing 24 million shares an hour. Just crazy numbers. The dollar amount, I had one of my sons try to figure up the dollar amount way back then. It was, I can't even remember, it was $7 or $9 billion worth that they did in 4 hours. Okay, I'm going to come on here in maybe an hour or so and talk about the pivot point briefly. We have a new high pivot point of right here. On our screen, it's 362.80 is the high pivot point. But reality, at 11:30 at night, when we can't trade, Grandpa was watching them, of course, and they made a high pivot point of 367.20. So if you're going by your charting, people, you're only off by about $5, $4.50. That's enough to mess up a person that thinks they got their charts right. And on the bottom side, this white line right here, 302.70, there's your low bottom pivot point. For the last 5-6 times, we've always made a higher pivot point, higher, 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 higher. She just keeps going up. But there's just as many where it doesn't. It comes close to hitting this high pivot point, like right here, and it reverses. And it doesn't have to make a new low bottom pivot point. It can just come close to it and then take off again. And if you go back in time, you'll see it over and over again, just as many times as we've got 6 times in a row going up. We're under a golden cross. We've got bullish news. Everything is singing go up, up, up. And they're going to give you a rug pull. And Grandpa sees it in the blinking. Grandpa sees it in the blinking. Yeah, we do not have to make. If we do make a higher pivot point, I would assume it would be a minimum of $30. They usually do 50 to 60, okay, and they can literally do over 100. This one here was $130 up. Right here, this one, 238.88 was the bottom pivot point, and went up to 367.20 actually, okay, up to the real top where they play 11 hours a day without us. They got to do something during that time. And then she went down and she made your bottom pivot point at 302.70. And she's coming back up. Everybody's anticipating a new top pivot point, including Grandpa. I think, a measly $40 is going to give you your $400, $415, $50 one is going to give you your $55 is nothing to get a new high pivot point. That gives you your $415, your all-time high in Tesla, yeah, it's exciting. And Grandpa's giving you a warning because Grandpa don't want you to. Don't sell your cash shares. If you've got a cash account, keep them. Just keep them. And buy, if you get a dip to 300, buy one more share or something. I don't care. But whatever you do, don't sell them because we are going to see the 500. We are going to see the 1,000. If you sell your share, odds are that you'll mess it up and won't get back in when you're supposed to. You're not sitting in front of your computer all day like Grandpa does, possibly. And when they come down here to 300, okay, right here, when they come back down here, when they make their decision to come back up, it'll be back up $30 so fast your eyes will water. After they clean everybody out that's long, and they come back down here, once they've cleaned them all out, and they've got all those long positions, they're gonna bring it back so fast, and then when it hits 330, oh, I'm gonna wait, and it's gonna go back to 300. It ain't gonna go back to 300. When it gets to 330, it's gonna go to 500. Okay, Grandpa's getting psychotic. Hey, think about eternity once in a while. Grandpa does. Oh, I want to do another one in an hour or so, possibly here. See you later. I want to talk about giving away Tesla shares because Grandpa's going to do a little bit of that. And I know I talked to Treason's trucker earlier today and Jeff, and they're going to do it. Grandma wants Grandpa to give her a Tesla share too. See you later.